cold coastal night, when the wind carried secrets no one wanted to hear. A single discovery in the sand would unravel a nightmare that the small seaside town of Briarshore had buried for years. It began with a rookie officer, patrol lights flickering across empty dunes, stumbling upon what he first thought was debris washed up by the tide. But when his flashlight cut through the mist and revealed a human hand partially buried beneath the shifting sand, everything changed. This is the story of a quiet predator, a town that chose silence and the terrible cost of ignoring the cries no one wanted to hear. The killer the world would later call a dune shadow lived a life so ordinary it was almost invisible. His real name was Elias Marrow, a middle-aged architect known for punctuality, polished shoes, and a smile that never quite reached his eyes. People described him as helpful, polite, the kind of man who loaned ladders and fixed mailboxes. No one questioned the fact that he preferred the company of shadows, nor did they notice how he lingered in the forgotten corners of Briarshore. He walked unnoticed through streets where everyone knew everyone, but nobody truly saw him. For years, Elias had been hunting women living on the margins, women who trusted too easily, who were desperate for help, who came from places where people vanished and nobody searched right away. Each time he lured one away, the town's silence protected him, and the tides swallowed the truth. The first victim they confirmed was Leela Rohan, a young woman who came to Briarshore, chasing a promise of work that never existed. She was last seen near the boardwalk, arguing with a man wearing a hooded jacket. Witnesses remembered her trembling, clutching her phone, then getting into his truck. But no one called for help. Days later, her phone was found smashed beside the dunes, and the town simply moved on. That was the pattern. A disappearance, a whisper, a rumor, and then forgetfulness. Elias learned early that the world rarely fights for the unheard. What made Elias so dangerous was not brutality, but patience. He didn't rage. He planned. He watched the tides. He studied the dunes. He knew where sand swallowed footprints and where wind erased memories. He turned nature into an accomplice, burying his victims in a place where the sea itself helped hide the truth. To outsiders, Briarshore was a dreamy escape. To Elias, it was the perfect hunting ground. But the unraveling began when Elias made his first real mistake. He chose someone the town actually loved. Her name was Marin Vale, a volunteer at the community center, known for her warm laugh and the habit of giving rides to strangers who just needed a little kindness. She wasn't like his usual victims. She came from a family who asked questions loudly, who refused to be ignored. When Marin went missing, Briarshore didn't forget. They demanded search teams, pressured officers, shook the town awake. Suddenly, Elias Marrow wasn't invisible anymore. Detective Jonah Halley was assigned to the case, a man who carried his own ghosts and recognized the look of a community hiding secrets. As he walked the dunes where the first body was found, he sensed something wrong, something deeper than a simple kidnapping. He saw patterns, traces, impressions in sand only someone with a trained eye would notice. He found tire marks leading to a restricted path, footprints that didn't match the rookie officer's story, and a small piece of torn fabric half buried in the dune's edge. Something wasn't right. Something was repeating. As Halley dug through old reports, he realized the disappearances weren't random. 8 women, all connected by geography, timing, and the silent stretch of sand across Briarshore's coast. No one had linked them, not because the clues weren't there, but because no one wanted to acknowledge the possibility of a serial predator living among them. But Halley refused to look away. While the community prayed for Marin's return, Halley asked the question they feared. What if this wasn't the first time? Meanwhile, Elias Marrow watched the investigation unfold from his porch. For the first time, he felt something he'd never allowed himself before. Pressure. He paced the floor late at night, watching patrol cars sweep the streets. He began making mistakes. Small, but enough. He drove the truck he'd always kept hidden. He visited the dunes at hours he previously avoided. His routines cracked, and Halley noticed every fracture. The detective ordered officers to quietly track Elias's movements, and what they found chilled them. Long, solitary trips to the coast, tools in his cargo bed, plastic tarps, rope. Still not enough to arrest him, but enough to worry that time was running out. Marin Vale was still alive when Elias brought her to the abandoned boathouse where he kept his other victims. Bound, terrified, but defiant. She tried to convince him to let her go. Something about her voice, steady, pleading, human, made Elias hesitate. She talked about forgiveness, about second chances, about how damaged men didn't have to stay monsters. For the first time in years, Elias felt guilt flicker, an emotion he thought long dead, and in that moment of weakness, he made the mistake that would destroy him. He didn't silence her. Instead, Elias left the boathouse to clear his mind, unaware that Halle and his team were already narrowing in. The detective had found a key clue, a Marinesse bracelet, tangled in driftwood, near the abandoned path Elias frequently used. Halle followed that path, his instincts screaming. As he approached the boathouse, he heard faint tapping, Marin striking a piece of loose metal against the wall, praying someone would hear. Halle broke down the door. Marin survived. Elias fled into the dunes, but the sand he once relied on betrayed him. Footprints that the wind should have erased remained untouched due to an unusual stillness in the air that night. Elias ran, but Halle pursued relentlessly. The chase ended at the edge of a dune cliff, where Elias, exhausted and cornered, finally faced the consequences he'd spent a lifetime avoiding. Halle arrested him in silence, watching as the dune shadow trembled, not from fear of prison, but from the realization that he was no longer invisible. After Elias's arrest, authorities uncovered 8 bodies buried along the coastline, each placed carefully, methodically, almost ritualistically. Briarshore, once a town that prided itself on peace, was forced to confront the horrors it had ignored for far too long. In court, Elias said nothing in his own defense. He showed no remorse, no emotion, only an eerie calm as families cried and stories of the women he stole were read aloud. His only visible reaction came when Marin took the stand and told him she forgave him, not to absolve him, but to reclaim her own life. His mask cracked. For the first time, tears fell. Elias Marrow was sentenced to life without parole. The dunes he once trusted were now crime scenes. The town that once protected him would never forget him, and the sea that once hid his sins now revealed the truth to the world. Briarshore learned the painful lesson. Silence protects monsters, and monsters thrive where no one dares to look. But even in tragedy, the human spirit can rise. Marin helped create a foundation for missing persons, ensuring no one in Briarshore would ever vanish unheard again. And Detective Jonah Halle, carrying the weight of 8 lost souls, made it his mission to fight for the unseen and the forgotten. The shadows remained, but people finally brought their light. Sometimes, one wrong choice can destroy a lifetime. Learn from their story. Choose kindness. Choose life. This was just the beginning. The most mysterious and shocking crime stories are still ahead. Subscribe to Crime Flow Narratives and be among the first to uncover what comes next.